I didn't know my uncle too well, which I guess is why I couldn't even shed even a single tear at his funeral. I'd only seen him for a few occasions in my life, and most of them was when I was 6. He seemed like a nice guy, but even back then, I could see something different in his eyes. I just didn't know what it was. When I was 15, I could clearly see that loneliness had consumed him, which eventually led to him taking his own life. Alive one day and gone the next. Nothing but a pale face and an empty bottle of pills lying on the floor of his living room was found. My dad says it was because of the divorce, but my mother persisted that it was because neither she nor the rest of my uncle's relatives ever cared to check in on him for several years, even on the holidays, almost like he didn't exist. I felt guilty myself, but I knew that there was nothing that I could do. Mom cried a lot that day. After the funeral, she would go and visit her brother's grave every chance she got, often bringing flowers and candles to pray for his peaceful passing to whatever was waiting for him. I had to join her after school most of the time. I didn't know if I liked going to the cemetery every day, but I respected my mother for trying to make amends over past mistakes, at least enough to ignore everyone that called me the cemetery girl. After a week or so, however, I did see someone who'd better fit the role of cemetery girl. One sunny afternoon, I spotted someone who was doing something by the gravestones. I didn't know what she was doing at first, but already, she was giving me an odd first impression, mostly because of the long stuffed and striped rabbit ears she had on the hood of her jacket. I never did get how fashion worked, but I knew something like that wouldn't slide easily. I didn't pay her much attention until the following week later. She was a lot closer to us now, and I could clearly see what she was doing. Beside the tombstone, she was placing her head down on the ground to one side, as if she was listening for something. She didn't care if the graves had concrete slabs or simply bare dirt. Every time I saw her, she would place her ear on a different grave, and each time, a lot closer to my uncle's. I got a better look at her, clearly seeing the rabbit ears were just one part of her surreal wardrobe. Her jacket bore the same pink and white stripes, and I also noticed the oversized green button in between the two ears, looking almost like an eye of a doll or something. I could clearly see a happy smile lining up on her face, and like she was enjoying whatever she was doing. I tried not to think too much of her, but as time went on and she got closer to us, I couldn't help but notice her presence more and more. One day, I decided to talk to her myself. I constantly switched from looking at my mom to the strange girl ahead, and now only about 6 graves beside us. My mother was still busy with setting up the candles. The lighter she used wasn't cooperating. "Hey Mom, can I go look around the place for a bit?" I asked, not really sure if I should mention the strange girl or not, even though I knew she had been seeing her as well. She made a weird face, which was understandable. "Okay, just don't do anything stupid, and don't go too far," she told me. I nodded and I headed off. When I got up to the weird girl, she still had one ear on the ground. Once she took notice of me, she immediately stood up. "Hi there," she said gleefully, throwing her arm in the air. "Yeah, hi," I replied, giving her away with less than half of her enthusiasm. There was a brief moment of silence between us, an uneasy feeling washing over me as the awkwardness settled in. "So, what are you doing here exactly?" I finally managed to ask. "Oh, nothing special, just listening in. It can be pretty boring sometimes, but it is fun when you hear them." I was confused to what she had just said. "Hear who?" She didn't say anything. She only knelt down on the ground again and motioned for me to do the same. I hesitated, but eventually I did. I felt the wet soil soak through my jeans, making it all even more uncomfortable to move. Her ear was pressed against the ground of Wilbur Watley Sr., the tombstone. The look on her face kept changing constantly, changing from bored to looking like she was really close to bursting out in laughter. And she eventually did, raising her head up in the process. "Oh gosh, sorry. I don't think you'd want to hear this," she vaguely stated. I didn't understand her at all, and I was beginning to think that it might have been a bad idea to approach her. She stood up again, dusting off her skirt. "Come on, I know a better place for you to start." I don't know," I said, standing up myself. "I'm not supposed to wander around too much. It ain't that far from here, I can promise you that. Right about..." She spun around, putting her hand above her eyes, almost like a sailor scanning the sea for dry land. "There!" She pointed to another grave I couldn't quite distinguish. True to her word, it didn't seem far from us. I didn't think it would land me in trouble, at least. "Okay, if you say so." She led the way, passing by 3 different rows of concrete slabs with the names of the deceased etched in the headstones beside them, and moving on to the one at the far left corner of our block. From where we were, I could see my mom kneeling down and still busy praying. I looked at the tombstone that sat beside me. The name was slowly fading away. Mitchell, being the only thing that I could clearly make out. Mitch here can be a real wallflower, but when he starts talking, you won't believe how kooky his stories can be, she remarked before kneeling down. I did the same, right as she bent her head down on the concrete slab. She listened in for about half a minute, before sitting back upright with a giggle. "Yup, that's Mitch all right. Okay, it's a little tricky at first, but it'll be worth it. Trust me." "Sure, okay. What should I do exactly?" "Just get your good ear out and listen. Oh, and just make sure there isn't anything that can, crawl into your ear and stuff. Believe me, you do not want that." This was probably my last chance to get up, make up a lame excuse and run away. But still, I decided to press on. Staring down at the concrete, I asked myself a question. A boatload of questions, really. Was I really going to do this? Listen in on someone's grave for some currently unknown reason? Would my own curiosity be the only thing that would drive me to do so? And then there was that one question. What was I going to hear if I did? I placed my 2 hands on the cold slab and I slowly lowered my head, putting my left ear down, hearing the same bubble-like sounds you hear when you cover your ears. I stayed like that for a few minutes, hearing nothing out of the ordinary. "I can't hear anything," I said, taking my ear off of the slab. The girl in front of me looked a little confused. Maybe give it another try," she suggested, tilting her head to one side. I did just that, and there was still nothing. It does sound hollow though, but I guess it is a grave after all. She didn't look upset, more like she was thinking of something that might help. Arms crossed and her right index finger on the tip of her chin like something a cartoony detective would do. "Maybe you're not using your good ear," she stated, pointing to my right ear. I shrugged. "I'll give it a shot, I guess." I pressed down with my right ear this time. I listened in again. I took the time to focus my hearing on that side, and blocking out anything the other side picked up. "I'm still not hearing anything," I said, my head still on the slab. "Sorry. Try giving it a little more time. Maybe that'll help." I followed her request. I wasn't really aiming to find out if there really was anything to hear anymore. It was strange, but I was somewhat enjoying my time with her. She was odd in many different ways, but she was undoubtedly friendly despite me being a complete stranger. About a few minutes pass and still, I hear nothing. I lifted my head up and I shook my head. I could see she was back to her thinking stance. She had a puzzled look on her face, a slight tint of disappointment mixed in. The kind of face that I've seen a lot from my mother these days. "Hey, what's your name anyways?" I asked, snapping her out of the trance she was in. "Oh, I never told you." I shook my head again, which in turn made her comically bonk the side of her head. "Oh, sorry. I guess I got too caught up in that moment." She stood up on her 2 feet and she extended her hand out to me. "The name's Amy. Amy Dahl," she exclaimed. I got up myself and I shook her hand with mine. "My name's Charlotte. Charlotte Harris." As soon as I said my name, her face lit up with awe. "Oh, you got a pretty name there, Charlotte." Thanks." I wasn't used to hearing compliments, at least not anymore. It felt a little embarrassing to hear one out of the blue. "Hey, do you want to be friends?" I found myself asking out loud. She looked a little confused at first, before a cheerful look returned to her. "Aren't we already?" "I mean, I suppose so," I said sheepishly. "Well then, I'm pleased to have met you, Charlotte." She held her hand out towards me again, this time with only her thumb raised in the air. I couldn't help but laugh a little at just how silly she was, and yet, I did the same thing myself. "Nice to meet you too." "Well, I might have to call it a day, unfortunately," she suddenly stated, turning around and starting to walk away. "I get a little busy at this time of the day. Thanks for talking to me, Charlotte. I really appreciate your company. I'll be seeing ya." "Wait," I said, stopping her in her place. "What is it?" I didn't even know why I thought of it, but I did, and eventually I said, "Maybe I could try listening again." I pointed my finger down on the grave we were messing with earlier. A large grin spread across her lips. "Oh, I knew you'd be up for it." She walked back towards me and knelt beside the tombstone once again. I did the same on the opposite side, and I positioned myself. I didn't really expect to hear anything that time around either, but nevertheless, I still felt a familiar twinge of fear running through my system, leaving me to ask myself again, was I really going to do this? "Well, come on and face the music, honey. We'll never know if you hear anything if we don't try," Amy announced, and she was sadly right. My eyes darted back and forth from my new companion to the slab in front of us. I highly doubted that anything different would happen, yet the sense of dread inside of me was still there, further expanding as I hesitated. I placed my 2 hands on the concrete again. I took in a deep breath, and I finally lowered my head down. 5 whole seconds passed. Nothing. 10 more seconds. Nothing. 8 seconds. 5 more seconds and still... My eyes opened in astonishment. I heard something. At first, it just sounded like something was moving on the slab above with me. But after letting what I heard sink in, I had a weird feeling that told me it was coming from below me. I heard it again, a sound along the lines of a faint muffled scratch below. How is this even possible? I was hearing something from below a grave that probably had several layers of concrete or dirt below the slab, and I was hearing something, and it sounded like it was getting faster. I couldn't tell what I was hearing. It sounded like random scratching, but even that I wasn't sure of. It was too far away for me to tell. Beads of sweat went down my forehead and onto the slab. I could feel every single hair on the back of my neck stand on end every time I heard a strange noise that seemed to have come from below me. What was happening? What was I hearing? And how the hell does someone like Amy know about this? It took me a little while, but soon I realized that this sound was indeed getting closer, getting louder. The scratching. No, it wasn't so much like a scratching noise anymore. Faintly, I could make out what sounded like words. Words that formed a sentence I couldn't quite decipher just yet. It was a voice. A very hoarse one at that. Like someone had been screaming for the past hour or so.
Don't stare away.
Was all I could understand at first. But as it got closer, more of the words started to clear up.
Don't stare away. Don't. Away. Don't run away.
My blood ran cold hearing the last two words. Run away. Run away from what? From who?
Run away. Don't run away.
It was getting closer.
Don't run away.
It was getting louder, more frantic, more angry.
Run away. Run away. Run away.
The voice felt as though it was only a few inches away from me, as if the man had pressed his face up against the slab and whispered the words up above. Whispering the words into my ears, as I began to understand each word he was telling me.
Don't trust.
Just as I was steeling myself for the worst, the voice abruptly stopped. I couldn't hear anything anymore. Not even a hint of the mysterious scratchy voice that was coming from below me. I listened in for a good long while, but still, there was nothing. The voice, it was gone. Frustration made me sit upright, seeing Amy again after what felt like an hour. I forgot that she was even there, and seeing a girl who apparently knew about what I was hearing, and one who had a huge excited grin on her face, only added to the mix of confusion and anger that was boiling up inside me. So, did you hear it? Huh, did ya? Did ya? She asked frantically before I could say anything, biting the tip of her thumbnail afterwards. What the hell was that? I asked in a tone that was far more hostile than I intended. Rather than being offended, she gasped in astonishment, clapping her hands together in joy. You did! You heard him! That's so awesome! That is so awesome! She suddenly stood up and began trotting around in circles, constantly repeating what she just said a few seconds ago, doing all sorts of wavy dance-like motions with her arms and legs. I couldn't understand it. I commented, still trying to make sense of it all. She stopped midway of her dance, one leg and two arms in the air as if she had been frozen in place. Oh, she said, turning back to me. She then returned to her thinking stance from earlier. Huh, try listening again, she said nonchalantly. I was taken aback at how calm she was. Was this what she was hearing on every grave? I don't know. I hesitated, my anger soon melting back into a state of fear to the unknown. Oh, come on, Charlotte. If you stop now, you're gonna end up feeling like you wasted the opportunity of a lifetime, she exclaimed. You're gonna be stuck with this mystery for the entirety of your life, and you'll never be able to go back. She started jumping around again, throwing her arms up in the air. Unless... She stopped, holding her right index finger up like a man who was striking a bargain with someone. Unless what? I asked, quivering under the weight of the whole scene. Unless you put your ear back down there and listen again, she said ominously, pointing to the grave and then tilting her head to one side, cupping her own ear with her hand. Earlier, I would have laughed at how silly her statements and actions were, but during those moments, I felt like she was leading me into doing something that was far more twisted and sinister. Twisted or not, I couldn't say that she was wrong. I stared back at Amy one last time, a look of great anticipation written all over her face, and I placed my head back down onto the slab. Closing my eyes yet again, I listened in, my entire body shaking from both the ache from straining the neck for so long and the fear that was building up as the silence drove on. I clenched my teeth, biting at nothing as I heard. Nothing. There was nothing. No voices, no sounds. Nothing. There was no sound for 2 whole minutes. Until finally... "Charlotte, what the heck are you doing?" I heard my mother ask from behind me. "Mom?" I blurted out, head still down on the slab. I opened my eyes and I could faintly see her white pant leg on the edge of my vision. "Get away from that grave. God knows what sort of people stepped on that." She scolded me, but I couldn't move. A sudden wave of panic and confusion petrified me on the spot. "Don't worry, miss. The graves here are 100% clean," I could hear Amy say to her. "Still, get your head off of that. It's a little disrespectful to the dead, don't you think?" Even if I wanted to listen in, I knew my mother wasn't going to let me. I wasn't even sure if I really wanted to find out about what the voice was saying. Really, I was glad that she was there to stop me, to drag me back into the normal world. But just as I was about to pull my head off the concrete surface, I heard it again. This time I heard what he said very clearly. I jumped back, falling down in the grass as I tried to stop a shout of terror from getting out. "Charlotte, what's gotten into you?" my mother exclaimed. I heard it. I heard it." I practically shouted out in fear. My mother, of course, looked utterly confused. "Heard what?" she asked me, her confused stare slowly turning to a look of concern. "It was..." I was left speechless. There was no way in hell she would have believed me if I told her. I was having a hard time believing it myself. Giving Amy a hard glare, I expected her to at least help me out in the situation, but she only gave me a shrug. My mother helped me in getting back up. "Well, what was it?" I could feel my lips still quivering. I didn't know what to do. It's nothing," I said, defeated and disappointed at how things were turning out. "Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know that we can go home. Unless you wanted to do something else with your friend here." "No!" I found myself shouting out loud. Realizing what I had done, I felt my face heat up with embarrassment. I mean, we can go, it's okay." I muttered a little too fast. Alright, so, who's this new friend of yours again?" my mother asked me, obviously eyeing the strange getup of the girl in front of us. I wanted to say then and there that she was most definitely not someone I would consider as a friend after what she had put me through, but I stayed quiet. Leaving us in a very unsettling and awkward silence for a while, before Amy took the chance to introduce herself. "Amy Dahl here, madam. Just a humble teen trotting along the journey we call life." She gave us soldier salute, though she was using her left hand instead of her right. My mom couldn't help but laugh at her gleeful antics. "Well, it's nice to meet you, Amy." "Likewise, Miss Charlotte's mom," she replied. "It's charming, and I admire your enthusiasm." My mother's eyes soon darted back to me. "Anyways, we should get going. Do you need a ride home, Amy?" I was immediately terrified of the thought of her riding along with us, but with some stroke of luck, she declined her offer. Oh, no, I couldn't. And besides, I'm more of a running type of gal, Miss Charmaine. Don't worry about me. Good to see you're still fine with the idea of exercising every day. Unlike some people. My mother shot me a look. Clearly that statement was meant for me. But I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to get out of there. Still, be careful around these parts. Get home before dark. My mother told her, which prompted Amy to give another wrong-sided salute. Will do, ma'am. It took a while, but we soon said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. Inside the car, my mom kept asking me what I was doing with my new friend before she got there. I tried my best to avoid the question altogether, only telling her a half-baked lie that didn't really make much sense, one that I can't even remember anymore. That whisper, that one sentence, what the voice told me still kept swimming around in my thoughts, self-paranoia building up more and more whenever the memory resurfaced. It made me constantly shiver in my seat the whole ride, up until we got home. Even on the next day, it still got me jumping at shadows. I tried convincing my mother that I should try to get home by myself. Sometimes it works, other times it didn't, forcing me to return to that cemetery with her. She was still there, almost like she never leaves. She would wave at me, and the stuffed rabbit ears on each side of her hood bobbing up and down as she did. I tried to ignore her as best as I could, only to fail whenever my mom would see her and eventually wave back. She never got close to us anymore though, giving me a good reason to never talk to her again. I didn't know if I should be happy about that, but deep down in my mind, I knew I won't be this lucky for too long. Over the next few weeks of my life, I still felt an uneasy feeling of dread building up after each passing day. Everything was normal, and sometimes it actually felt normal, but my life was never the same again. All because of one moment in my life, one sentence that I could never forget. Mere seconds away before I decided that I had had enough and stood up, the voice shouted into my ear with almost clarity.
Don't trust her. Run away. Run away.
Hearing that below the grave was bad enough, but my own thoughts gave it a much more horrifying image, one that stuck with me up until I started writing this. For one thing, I never really found out who exactly he was referring to as her in that cemetery.